Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursday. We're very glad you're with us. It's March 25th, 2021. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you happen to post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comment, name, and picture to appear. We ask that people, if you're on Zoom on a PC or Mac, we ask that you use the chat, that we use the speaker view, which it looks like in the lower left-hand corner. And you're going to want to make sure you have your participant box open and your chat box open, because we'll be using both of those features throughout the presentation today. For those on Zoom, as soon as you have a question, just put them right in the chat box. For those people watching on Facebook right now, please enter your questions in the comment field, and as soon as we see them, we'll get them asked. I am monitoring the Facebook feed, so we'll make sure we get those questions answered for you. I guess we're still looking for a second resume, so we've already got one. If somebody else would like to submit their resume, you're welcome to do so. I would delete your header information. That way, so we'll be on Facebook and YouTube, so if you want to do that, you can just open up the little file button at the bottom of the chat box. Just select Carol and you can send her the resume. We don't know, sometimes we get to 2, we always get to 1, so we'll see. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. I founded careerdfw.org to help those in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in their job search by putting everything in one place. In 2012, I started careerusa.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area in their job search. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. I'll tell you about our really good speaker we have coming up tomorrow. So I'll tell you about him at the end of our session today. And I've been a member of the practice interview team since 2017, and Carol will talk a little bit more about that in just a second. At the end of this session, we're going to be picking 2 winners to be able to have a 1-month use of unlimited use of jobscan.co, which is a way to compare your resume and your job description and a job description. So we'll be giving away 2 of those at the very end of this session. So hang out with us to the very, very end. Well, today we've got 2 speakers with us. Carol Brickell, who's a certified professional career coach, and Alan Alaniz. I'm not really sure how to pronounce Alan's last name.
It's okay.
He's the operation director at NextStep Recruiting. So thank you all for being with us, and take it away.
Great. Thank you, Jeff, for that introduction. And thank you, Aaron, for stepping us away from your busy job for just a few moments to be with us. And we really appreciate you doing that. Yeah, Aaron is the director of operations at NextStep Recruiting and is actively involved in doing some recruiting and negotiating with clients at the moment. So we're really pleased to have him here. And I'll have him introduce himself in just a quick second. And I'm going to be sharing my screen. And I think I got a message from somebody who wants to send a resume. You can send that to me in chat as a file attachment in chat. And we already have 1 resume. We'll definitely get to that one, and we'll try to get to the second one if we can as well. So thank you everyone for joining. And we're glad to have everybody here. I think we have some people from outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It seems like our audience gets bigger and bigger and bigger every week, and this is wonderful. And we've designed these sessions to be fun and interactive. And so the first thing I'd like you to do is to click on the participant box, and you can see all the participants out there. And you can click on that. And then let's go ahead and click on the chat box. We'll be using that a lot during the session. And to get us warmed up using chat, what I'm doing is I'm opening up the chat box and moving it over to my second monitor. So if you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at my second monitor where I have the chat box and the participant box open. And thank you for the second resume. I've got that with the file name for Carol. That's very nice. Okay, good. And to get us all warmed up with chat, I do have a question, because Aaron's going to be talking about his favorite resume tips. And one of the tips is to make sure that your bullet points in your professional section really focus on the outcomes of business impact that you made and professional results. So my question is, does your resume focus on outcomes, impact, results? And I work with a lot of people whose resume reads like a list of tasks and reads almost like a job description. So I'm curious, type in yes, or working on it, or would like to, do this, or no, or go ahead and type an answer to this question into chat. I'm seeing a few yeses. Don't know. Okay, and we'll be talking about this today, and we'll show an example of how you can make your resume focus a little bit more on accomplishments. And somebody says working on it. Good. Good. So we'll help you with that today. And what I'll be doing today is I'll be sharing my perspective based on my background, and Aaron will be sharing his perspective as well as an operations director at a staffing agency. So he's very experienced in reading resumes and presenting them to hiring managers. So we'll be sharing ideas from our perspective, and your job as a listener is to listen to all these ideas and use what's useful for you. And the ideas that aren't so useful, you don't have to use them. It's up to you to decide, but you'll hear lots of different ideas. And my perspective comes from working as a hiring manager. When I worked at EDS that was acquired by Hewlett Packard, I worked in a variety of different roles: system engineering manager, sales, project management, HR, learning and development, leadership development, a lot of different roles. And in all those roles, I was a hiring manager. And then when I retired from HP in 2012, I then gained 6 years of experience working as a recruiter in both corporate and agency environments. And I've placed a variety of candidates in various roles. And like Jeff, I also volunteer for the Dallas PIT Crew. That stands for Practice Interview Team. And if you're working on your resume, I also highly recommend you work on practicing your interview skills. And a great way to do that with a organization for free is by sending your resume and a sample job description to the Dallas PIT Crew at gmail.com. And we've loaded the information into chat, and you can get signed up to run through a mock interview, and we'll give you feedback. And that's a very valuable resource. And I'm not aware of any other organization that does that in the United States. I don't know, Jeff, if you've run into any other group that does like what the PIT Crew does. No, it's very unique.
Very, very unique.
Coaches help with that. Good. And then also I'm certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And I'm going to be going to a conference, attending virtually next month to get the latest and greatest from them. All right. And now I'd like to give Aaron a moment to introduce himself and his background so you can get to know him as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for letting me, participate today. I appreciate being here with you guys, and always a great time working with this organization. Career DFW does a lot of help out in the market, and I always refer people back to you guys because it's such a great resource. So thanks again for allowing this opportunity as well. So I am the operations director at NextStep Recruiting, of course, and that covers a wide range of things. In addition to operations, I also run a full desk. So that means I also work with candidates and clients. Just can't give that up just quite yet. It's one of those things that I'm very passionate about, making sure we service our clients, but also passionate about how we handle our candidates, and want to make sure I stay close to the pulse of the market. I have about 20 years of leadership and hiring experience in multiple different industries. I've also owned my own business in the past. 12 years of recruiting experience. It's actually year 13 now. So isn't that crazy? It goes by fast. Absolutely love what I do. I'm happy to have found a home at NextStep Recruiting where I celebrate 9 years this month. Experience with, multiple different types of opportunities as well. We handle HR, admin, sales and marketing, medical business office, as well as business analytics, tax, audit, accounting, and finance. So and then we have an IT division as well. So if you happen to have those skill sets, we're happy to help with any way we can with that. And then, of course, I love to work with people who want to be leaders and make a difference in the world. And so I donate a lot of my time to the youth and college and career age people at my church and around our community to really help dig in and help them develop to the next level. And just really enjoy doing that. So I appreciate having the opportunity here. And I am certified in HR by both the Society of Human Resource Management, which is a national organization, and the Human Resources Certification Institute, which is HRCI. And that's what all the letters past my name mean. So anyway, thanks again for letting me be here.
That's great. Yeah, thank you for that. And I don't know if you can plug in your microphone again or something. It's starting to get a little bit of distortion. We can hear you okay, but there's a little bit of distortion. So I don't know.
Actually, a little frog in my throat. So give me just a second.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Okay, that could be it. Okay, good. Well, we're really glad to have you here. And I encourage those of you that are listening that if you're in job search mode, and if you don't have a recruiter working out for you, Aaron's a great resource. And he's always looking for accounting, finance, project management, administrative, HR, learning and development type people. And then also NextStep Recruiting has an IT division as well. So I encourage you to reach out to Aaron or a recruiter, and they can give you feedback on your resume and on the job market and give you advice. So get some more people working for you if you're a job seeker out there. And Aaron, would you like to talk about some of the hot jobs or the types of people where you're always looking for candidates? You're on mute. Looks like you're still on mute. There we go.
Apologize. I was trying to use the spacebar function, but apparently my keyboard doesn't want to use that today.
It's only temporary. Yeah, I just learned that last week. If you press on your spacebar while you have it down, it unmutes you, and then when you lift off, it goes back.
Yeah, got you. I'll have to try it again another time.
Yeah, it's when I make a quick comment. Yeah.
So for our regional accountant, we're really looking for an experienced accountant, 5 years or more in full cycle accounting. They're going to be in charge of multiple different properties of this. We'll call it a property management company, although it's a little bit more dynamic than that. They're a publicly traded company. They are remote currently until they go back to the office in downtown. We are looking for a staff accountant, somebody with probably 3+ years of experience would do well in that role. They have a high preference for someone right out of public accounting, as most companies do in accounting. The IT auditor or the CISA, this person is going to be looking through systems, doing SOX audit type work, and they need to have public accounting in their background as well. They are on site, and it's downtown Dallas. Is a publicly traded company, and they're very eager to hire. My risk manager job is an organization, it's kind of a startup, and they're looking for somebody that manages all insurance risk, so workman's comp, general liability, all of the types of insurance that would go with business and retail type sites. And they also will handle all the regulatory licensing. And then the director of revenue cycle, it's one of our healthcare clients that is looking for someone that can handle the typical revenue cycle in a medical facility. This one happens to be in mental health versus straight medical, but they don't have to have the mental health experience. They can do it from medical because it's very similar in the cycle. Somebody can manage multiple people that are either remote or on site and have no qualms about, working with different people. So.
Great. Oh, good. And then Aaron, I think we have some people in the audience that are from outside the DFW area. Do you ever have clients that are open to having people work virtually or remotely?
I actually am supporting a client right now that I am hiring all across the United States for remote workers that would support the Pacific time zone, doing the vaccine rollout for the Pacific Coast. And so what they are needing specifically right now is a healthcare quality analyst, a BI intelligence person, as well as technical implementation manager, somebody that's going to help them install a staffing program into a hospital system. So.
Wow. Okay, that's great. So even those outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area, if you're looking for opportunities, Aaron could be a great resource for you. And the benefit of working with a recruiter is they can be the ones to present your resume to the hiring manager and advocate for you. So there are a lot of benefits there. And I worked at NextStep Recruiting, and I know they do a great job with their clients. So okay.
Yeah, and the goal, of course, with us is to make sure that we're your voice, right?
Yes.
We're your advocate.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So here's our agenda today. I'll review some information about applicant tracking systems for when you're applying online. And Aaron will talk about his top resume tips. And then we'll talk about the concept of a one-page bio, which is different than a resume. We'll talk about that, the concept of a master resume, and we'll quickly review the key components of a resume so we can get into looking at these I think I have 3 now, 3 resume samples. So I know we'll get to one of them. We might get to 2. And then we'll do the big giveaway that Jeff has at the end to give people access to the tool jobscan.co, which is a tool you can use to compare your resume to a job description to see how good of a match you are. So applicant tracking systems. If anybody knows the name of an applicant tracking system, and you may have heard me say this before, but go ahead and type it in chat if you know any names of any systems. And these are the systems that when you apply online, they read the resume, the data in your resume, and they parse the data to put it into the database. And like your name, phone number, job titles, your degree, and that type of information. And if anybody knows any names of applicant tracking systems, go ahead and type them into chat. And all these systems work differently. So you might hear conflicting information and guidance from people about applicant tracking systems because each one's different. But mainly you just need to remember not to use any special characters in your resume. And that includes formatting, underlines, borders, boxes, tables, special customized bullet points, and some, oh, Aaron typed in a whole bunch of names of applicant tracking systems. See if I know all of those. I don't know Silk Road. That's a good one. iCIMS is becoming really popular. Workday has a applicant tracking component. A lot of people are starting to use that. And Taleo is one of the old legacy systems that a lot of people still use. So good. Yeah, Taleo, somebody guessed that as well. And also some systems like Workday does not read what's in the header or the footer. Like, so if you put your name information in the header of Microsoft Word, it won't get read by certain systems. But you do want to make sure that the keywords that you use, keywords in your resume that align to the job description. And if you want to compare your resume again, you can use that jobscan.co tool. And at the end of our session today, Jeff will do a giveaway to give you a license for that, or everybody will get a chance to win a license for that. And then often when you're applying online, you can also upload your resume as an attachment. And that's the one when the recruiter is clicking through the 300 people that have applied. And usually they make it, as a recruiter, I would make it maybe through the top 20 or 30 people and just click on the resumes real quick to take a quick look at them. When you upload it as an attachment, you may want to consider doing that one as a PDF to protect the formatting of it. And then also there's an option often to submit a cover letter. You can do that, but Aaron and I joke about this. We never had time to read cover letters, so don't spend a lot of time on them. And we do have a good template, a real easy template to use that we've posted into chat. And I see a couple questions. Let's see. Oh, a question about the more abstract things in the job description, like self-starter, detail-oriented. Would you consider these words fluff? I'll provide an answer, and I'd love to hear what Aaron thinks about this. If I see somebody write under the top of their resume, areas of expertise, and it says hard worker, detail-oriented, team player, I'm like, oh, those are overused words, and I'm tired of them.
But I think she's asking, but I think they're asking here, what if they see those words on a job description?
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, if it's in the job description, I wouldn't put it under areas of expertise. I'd rather hit other skills there, but maybe incorporate those into the summary text.
In the summary, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe in one of the texts down below. But your areas of expertise, you want to reserve for more job skills that you have to learn on the job, rather than those overused words that, yeah, so.
Yeah, I concur with you,
Job
Carol.
description.
Yeah, honestly, and that's a poorly written job description if they've got that in there anyway, because it's asking for information that if I perceive what you wrote or your example as a self-starter example, but maybe the next person doesn't, I feel like that's just not, that's not fair for someone, and save those types of examples really for your resume, but like you, I mean, for your interview. But I do think that if they are in the job description and it's going to get you to a higher ranking for that, that you should include it in the summary. You know,
Yeah,
those specific things that are in there, if you put them in there, it'll keyword search it. So I think that that's relevant, but I wouldn't make that your MO.
right. Yeah, you could, if you could weave it into your sentences. And then somebody has heard that cover letters are important as a resume. As I mentioned, we're sharing from our perspective and our experience. I'm curious where you heard that cover letters are as important. Did you hear that from a hiring manager or a recruiter? And maybe in marketing, where they want to see your writing style, or if you're applying for a writing job, and they want to see your writing style. So yeah, you'll hear different perspectives, and that's okay. Good. And then more advice regarding applicant tracking systems. As I mentioned, each system is different. Each company can implement them differently or configure them differently. So you might hear conflicting information about these systems, but basically in general, just try to upload a resume that's clean of any special formatting boxes, tables. And then if you have the chance, if the system lets you, review the information that's been uploaded in their database to make sure it's clean. And then also the most important thing is to contact a person, because if you just upload a resume, apply online, and sit back and wait to get called for an interview, your chances of getting called are nearly zero. It's statistically about 2%, but that percentage chance can go up dramatically if you reach out to a person. Either reach out to somebody you know at the company and write them a nice email about how you applied for that job and you meet the requirements, and could you please forward my resume to the appropriate recruiting manager or recruiter, and write it in such a way that they can just forward it and attach your resume. Or reach out to the recruiter who posted the job and let them know you meet the job requirements. And if you don't know the name of the recruiter, reach out to the recruiting manager, and you'll have to dig around on LinkedIn to search for that. Good. Okay. Good. All right. Now I'd like to give Aaron a chance to talk about his top favorite resume tips.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So I like to have 2 different resumes. I like to have my master resume where I have everything I've ever done. So it makes this number 1 tip easy for me, that I can go back and tailor my resume to the job and just make a version for just that job, and then related responsibilities that are listed, and make sure that I put the impact that I've had on that company. And I don't like to belabor it in any place. Obviously, you want to just hit the points that are there. And then, of course, utilize keywords posted from the job description. You'll hear us say that over and over and over again, because it really does work like a Google search, right? It really does work like a Google search, keywords. You can kind of think about how many times have you gone to the second page to call that pool service or that restaurant or wherever you're looking for. You don't. That's why you can't think of it, because you don't. Because it's the same thing for recruiters, the same thing for us. Don't write an objective. It's an ineffective use of your space. It just really, none of us really look at it. I mean, we just kind of pass it by. If you want to write a professional summary, that's different. But and frankly, one guy told me one time, he goes, "Do I really care what your objective is? I need to know if you can meet my job." So that's what, I was like, I never thought about that. It's kind of cold, but okay. It gets to the point, doesn't it? Include the results or accomplishments that increase revenue, save money, or created efficiencies. Those are the 3 top things that people are paying attention to, right? If I'm a manager, I'm either trying to increase revenue because that's my purpose. I'm trying to, save money or find a cost saving somewhere, or creating efficiencies by making this process smoother, therefore dropping money to the bottom line. Those are the 3 ways I'm going to help a company. So if I can do that, then, and show that I related to the job I'm going to do, then I'm going to have a better chance of getting picked, right, for the interview. And then use concise and effective words. Think of, maybe not think of Twitter since it's gone so awry lately. think of short ways that you can say the same thing. And if you have questions, work with a professional like Carol to help get you tuned in to the right words, and so that you can really make the most impact in the least amount of words, because I think that's super important that you do that. And it's also important to double check your grammar, spelling, and spacing. I cannot tell you how many times someone has lost a job just because they had a period in the wrong place, or they misspelled something. They misspelled detail or manager, because guess what? Some things will just pass through spell check. You need another human to look at it and really go line by line to help you. And, I think Carol also has a good tip on how she checks herself. And I think that, I've kind of picked up on that, because I also use a service called Grammarly. And if I don't run it through Grammarly, I don't even know what I'm going to do anymore, to be honest with you, because I make sure that I haven't just, because you may talk one way, but the way you write is going to be different. So it's important to use whatever tools you can to ensure that you're not going to get knocked out for something silly like a comma in the wrong place.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Aaron. And when I worked with you at NextStep Recruiting, we would comment about how many resumes would come through with errors in them, and that became a hindrance. And Grammarly is a good tool. A friend of mine is just publishing a book, and she's been using Grammarly. And then also what I do, if I don't have somebody to look at it, is I'll just print off. If I'm updating it, I'll print it off, set it aside, do something else for 10 minutes, and come back and look at it fresh and read it line by line, or read the section I modified very carefully to look for any errors. And Aaron, I wanted to ask you real quick about cover letters, because somebody said they are hearing from multiple places that it's important to have a cover letter. So from your perspective and all the years you've worked as a recruiter and presented to hiring managers, what are your thoughts about the importance of cover letters?
I have found little to no use for them unless it is, like you mentioned, a way to gauge writing or that kind of thing. When people have submitted them, I can tell they probably spent hours on it, and most people don't look at it, and that makes me sad. I would say that if a system requires one, then you must put one in there. So don't do one halfway, right? Make sure that you use the template that we put in the chat box, so that you guys can find a good format and a way that you can do it and not spend hours and hours in belaboring it, because chances are people really aren't looking at it. That's the chance. 90% of the time they're not looking at it. But if someone requires one, you want to make it a good one. So
good.
I mean, that's my tip.
Thank you for that. Good. And then somebody asked about how do you organize your skills on a resume, and we'll show that in a minute. So thanks for that question. And thank you, Aaron, for sharing your tips based on all of your experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if anybody has any questions based on Aaron's tips or experience, feel free to post those into chat. And I wanted to touch real quickly on this concept of a one-page bio. If you've heard me talk about this before, click the green check mark in participant box or type yes in chat. If you've heard me talk about the concept of a one-page bio, and it's something actually different than a resume. And as I'm working with my career coaching clients, more and more people are starting to create these for networking purposes, because a resume really screams, I'm looking for a job. Do you have a job for me? But a bio is a softer document that you can use when you're just seeking information or reaching out to somebody at a company and you're just seeking their advice regarding your career transition or just seeking information about the company. You can use a bio. And a resume really focuses on your work details, and it's really a job search tool. But a bio focuses on your career accomplishments, and it's more of a multi-purpose tool. And I had looked online and in some books to try to find a format that was easy to update and create one. And I couldn't find any, but one of my clients had a really fun format, just in Microsoft Word, easy to update. So I asked him, can I borrow it? And he said, sure. And so I just plugged my data into it. And we're sharing this in the chat box. It's just a Microsoft Word format. And on these bios, it's okay to use your picture because it's like a social networking document, like LinkedIn is a social networking platform. A resume is a job search tool in the job application process, and you do not want to include your pictures on that for employment law reasons. But as you're socializing with people, it's okay to use your photo and have some keywords, your background, a quick synopsis of your professional biography with the company names and dates, education, certifications, contact information, and summary of key results and key accomplishments. So you're welcome to take this and play with it as you wish. And somebody asked a question, do companies consider referrals a priority? I can speak from experiences of when I was doing corporate recruiting, I would tell my team, I'd say, okay, on the jobs, if you see that somebody has referred a candidate, call that candidate first. Even if they're not qualified, call that candidate, because that person that referred them might be our COO or might be a manager that'll be following up with me to see if we if we called that referral person. So yes, they do get priority. And those are the people we place most often. Okay. And then how can you use a resume to explain re-entry to the corporate world after being gone with a career break? That might take a conversation with a career coach or a recruiter, somebody you trust. So I would recommend talking about that. You might be able to put some sort of gap filler like community service and and consulting, if you did some little consulting projects, even with a nonprofit or pro bono work or something like that. It's good to show something during that time. And then sometimes people put on their resume time to take care of family or to be a caregiver. Aaron, have you seen people that have done that effectively if they have a gap in their resume where they had to step away for a few years?
Usually they put concentrating on family or spending time raising children or whatever. And, I personally wouldn't recommend to put spending time on children, because it gives an opportunity for someone to, create a bias. I just put family time or personal time off or whatever. And if you choose to do caregiver, you can put that on there. It can mean for kids, it can mean for elderly parents, it can mean for whatever. You can explain that if you choose to in an interview.
Yes. Okay.
But I prefer using the volunteer time. That's what I prefer, because it keeps it professional and stays out of your personal life.
Right, right. Yeah, you don't want to add things in the job application process that could create bias or potentially. It could be, again, employment law situations. Okay. Yeah, and somebody put PTA treasurer. Yeah, so you can put community.
Absolutely.
And then list those as a couple of bullet points, okay, especially if you held positions of leadership. And I'd like to give Jeff a moment, if you have a moment, to talk about the concept of master resume.
Well, I think, Aaron already sort of mentioned it. He likes to have his master resume so he doesn't have to think about what he's going to do when he customizes a resume for a job description. And, I just think it's a wonderful idea, because once you do it, you never have to do it again until you add a new job. And your master resume should have everything you've done. It should have 10, 15 bullet points that you had at each job, who your boss was, addresses, all the details of it. And then when you see a job description, you just go through and you eliminate everything that's unimportant. Because if they don't ask for it in a job description, don't tell the recruiter, because they don't care. They're looking for X, Y, Z. You just want to tell them X, Y, Z. I'm sure everybody hears a lot of really great things, but what you're sending a resume out is like a fishing hook. You're trying to get them to call you up on the phone. So just tell them what they want to know and get them to call you.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, I've learned this concept from you and been sharing it with my clients as I help people with their resumes. And a lot of people are doing this now. And we have another question that says, if you volunteer, won't they want to know what for? Yes, you'd want to state that. And I would put it under the heading of community leadership, and then list a bullet point about what leadership role you had as a volunteer. And caregiving could be a good answer. And again, this may require a little bit more of a conversation about how to handle your specific situation. And one person that was pursuing jobs in healthcare, that they emphasized the fact that served as a caregiver and, had to organize nursing staff and negotiate with whatever. And they put those as bullet points because they were actually kind of working with the healthcare system and managing and negotiating. And those were actually kind of important skills that were applicable to the job they're applying to. And it showed passion about healthcare. So there's depending on your situation, there's ways to work around that. Good. And I'm going to quickly cover some of our key points about resumes. You want to make it easy for the ATS system and the recruiters to see that, that you're a good match for the job. You want to make sure your formatting is clean, and we'll share a format with you so it's easy to read and the words kind of jump out. And your overall length, the sweet spot, as I talk with many recruiters and career coaches, is about 2 pages for people with experience. Sometimes they can be longer for highly technical or government types of jobs. And number of years, we've got a little polling question about this. And it's interesting to see. I mean, this is one of these situations where it's a personal choice regarding how many years of service. So my question is, how much experience do you show on your resume? A, all of your experience. B, the most recent 10 to 15 years, or C, details about the most recent 15 plus prior relevant experience, where you can list the company names with or without dates. And this is funny, nobody has shown option A. Well, I did that, Aaron, when I applied at NextStep Recruiting, and at the age of 59, I will say, and I was networking with Chad and other people that knew me really well. They knew I'd been at EDS forever, so I just put it out there, and I got the job. But not everybody does that. And when I worked as a recruiter, I saw a lot of resumes that fell into option B, because a lot of career coaches were telling people only show your last 10 years or the most recent 10 years to mask your age. But the resumes kind of looked chopped off. And I found hiring managers actually kind of preferred option C, where people showed a lot of details about, or more details about the more recent jobs, but then had prior relevant experience and listed the company names and dates. And that helped avoid confusion, because sometimes during an interview, if I asked a question and if they referred to a company that wasn't on their resume, I would just be not listening and trying to find where it was on the resume, not finding it, and would cause confusion. And Aaron, if you have any additional comments about that.
No, I think that the 10 to 15 plus the section of prior relevant experience has been the most effective for candidates have more experience than that. And I think that it also helps show the different areas. I mean, if somebody looked at my resume, they might be a little shocked, because I've been in several different industries, and staffing just seems to be where I've landed, because it lets me play in all the industries. So I get to learn about all kinds of things. So, and I think that also shows intellectual curiosity and ability to be adaptable. But some clients don't like that. They prefer somebody in manufacturing for their whole of their life. So anyway, you just have to kind of see how it works for your client.
Yeah, good. And then, yeah, thank you, Aaron, for answering the question about functional resumes. When I would present a functional resume to a hiring manager, anytime I did that, they'd say, okay, where's the chronological one? I want to see their
every time.
Yes.
Every time. We're not even allowed to send them.
Oh, okay. That's good feedback. Okay. And do you add a bullet or two on the prior relevant experience jobs if they're relevant? Yes, especially if you have space within 2 or 2.5 pages. Yeah, absolutely. And nobody reads an 8-page resume. Yeah, that's very true. So today we'll cover very briefly key components of a resume. There might be some additional components, but these are some of the main ones. Your heading, having your name and these 4 types of information: phone number, closest major city, a professional looking email address, usually with your name, not some sort of funny thing like Carol likes kitty cats or something. We want to make it look like a professional email. Aaron's laughing at me. Yeah, my cat hasn't visited. Usually my cat visits during this. And then your LinkedIn URL. And Workday specifically does not like hot links or actual hot links in a resume. It'll send it into a tailspin. So just write it out in a text format. And do not include your physical street address. You don't need to do that anymore. And as Aaron mentioned, don't put an objective at the top of your resume saying seeking a position where I can continue to grow my skills. We don't want that. What you want to do is put a summary of who you are as a professional, leveraging some of the keywords in the job description. If they say they're looking for somebody who's detail oriented, you might be able to work it into a sentence or 2 here. And you'll modify this every time you apply for a job to align with the critical things they're looking for in that job. And if you're a business analyst applying for a business analyst job, put that title front and center. If you're making a career transition, you may have to finesse it a little. Like if you're an HR manager applying for an HR director position, you might want to put HR leader. Or what would you recommend, Aaron, if somebody's been an HR manager, but they're applying for an HR director position, they meet the requirements, what do you think they should put at the top of their resume?
I would go with HR leader, or I might even put senior manager / director, because you're director material.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good advice. And then also this is where you can put your areas of expertise. And somebody was asking me how to lay out the skills, one big long list. On LinkedIn, you can lay them out in the big list, maybe with subheadings, but on a resume, I like 3 columns. Sometimes people will smash them together with just that pipe thing in between. That makes it really hard to read. But if they're spaced out into columns, they jump out a little more. And we found the number 9 of these is a nice magic number. Occasionally I'll make it go to 12 if it's a highly technical job that requires a lot of skills, like some financial analyst jobs or accounting jobs require a lot of different skills. And so sometimes I'll put 12. Okay. And then an optional section after your areas of expertise is key accomplishments. And I see this especially in sales and business development and even like recruiting jobs where you have to show a track record of meeting results and achieving targets. In your professional experience, you want this really clean, easy to read. Make sure your verbs for your past job are all in the past tense. You wouldn't believe how many I see that are.
Please, dear God.
Please,
dear God.
please. That is like the biggest pet peeve of recruiters and hiring managers. I've seen hiring managers throw a resume across the desk if it has a mishmash of verb tenses. Now, if you have a job you're still in, most of the verbs may be present tense, but if it's a project that you've completed, you might have one that's in the past tense. So sometimes it could be a mishmash. And I put the past tense ones at the bottom so it doesn't look funny visually to have present past.
If
And
I
then
can add an
Go ahead.
editorial comment, I edited a college paper. One of the things from an editorial comment side, when you get through with your document, is read it word for word backwards, because there's stuff that will go through spell check. And this is back when we had to type things on an actual typewriter, but read it from the bottom backwards, word at a time. And that will also help you reading it from the bottom to the top. You'll also catch some of the more egregious grammar problems. But
Excellent.
you wrote it, you tend to just read it and you say, it's fine. And send it to your recruiter. Say, this is my latest product. What do you think?
Good.
The
Thank you.
editorial thing is start at the bottom and word for word, work your way up. At one point I had misspelled clear, what do you call it? When you have a clear security clearance, I had misspelled one of the terms in security clearance. And for whatever reason, spell check thought it was fine.
Okay.
And how many
Thank
of
you
these
for that.
things did I send out with this freaking misspelling up here?
Thank you so much. And somebody commented, they're thinking exactly what I was thinking, the word manger instead of manager. That is very common. So that's a great tip to catch those. And then we've also heard from one of our recruiting experts that he likes to see a one-liner description for the companies, especially if they're companies that aren't very well known. So that's a nice thing to do that some recruiters really like. And then I've reduced the number of bullets per job. I used to have up to 8, but people are saying more like 5 or 6. I don't know if Aaron, do you have a favorite number of bullet points under a job, especially the most recent one? What would be the maximum number of?
Yeah, I really like to see probably about 5 or 6. I mean, I could go to 8 if it was relevant for the job and it's a highly technical job, but if really you can say what you need to say in 5, that's better, because you really just want, in our case, we've already got a write-up that's going to have extra information on it anyway. So, I mean, I feel like with our write-up and their resume, it should be able to do that, do the job.
Good. Yeah, thank you for that. And then you want your bullet points not to read like just tasks in a job description. You want to focus on the headlines, the accomplishments. And then I'll review quickly a fun method of doing that. And it's by asking the question, so what? So this was an actual bullet point in a resume for a marketing person where they guided the next phase of brand evolution, managed, and that's kind of neat. That's kind of a neat task. But I asked, so what? What was the impact? What was the result? And she said, wow, it actually increased the business opportunities and commissions for my client who was an artist. So that caused her to rewrite that bullet point and start with a stronger verb, increased business opportunities, including commissions from my client based on developing social media and PR strategy. And she also ended up rewording the sentence a little bit to align more with the keywords in their job description, which were also based on the work that she did. So she did a good job updating that with a stronger verb and using keywords in the job description. And then if you have multiple roles at a company, many times I see in resumes where people put the dates for the multiple roles, write justified. And at a glance, and remember, recruiters are just scanning your resume. They spend about 7.4 seconds looking at your resume. They're just scanning. And if you have your dates for each role you had outright justified, it looks like you're a job hopper. If you format it this way, the way we're displaying it, the full time you're at the company, and then the dates for the jobs like this, it tells a much stronger story. It shows the progression within the company. So please do it that way. And then if you have a company that's changed names, there's a couple different options, either the current name of the company followed by the old name, or the old name, if people are more familiar with that, with the date of the acquisition. And for example, on my resume in 2012, it said HP Enterprise Services, formerly EDS, or I could have said EDS acquired by Hewlett Packard. And then you want to make sure to include your education, software skills. And if they're looking for Microsoft Excel, put it on your resume. You'll get points for that. And then, and if you don't have a degree, write something like this: the school, city, state, and your major area of concentration, or maybe your course hours. Don't put bachelor's if you don't have a bachelor's. And then somebody says they put 3 sentences, job description followed by 3 to 5 bullets of accomplishments. That's one, possible way of doing that. Okay. Now there's different ways of formatting. Okay. And then this I want to talk through just real quickly. On the left, we've got a job description. On the right, a resume. And I highly recommend anytime that you are, I'm trying to turn off that thing. Let's see, there we go. Anytime you're applying for a job, please spend just a few minutes analyzing the job description. Number one, to make sure that you're a good match for the job, that you meet the job requirements. And then if you do, look for the keywords, the skills that they're looking for. In the bottom part of the job description, either under requirements, qualifications, or here's what you bring, they'll have critical things they're looking for. And if they're looking for Agile and Scrum, and if you've got that background, make sure to make that front and center. They're looking for software like Visual Studio, and you've got that experience, be sure to call that out. And this is very important. I spend a lot of time with my clients doing this exercise, and it really only takes a few minutes to do that. So, okay. So at this point, I'm going to stop sharing. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put those in chat. And now I'm going to share the first resume we received. Let's see. See if I can find the first one. Yes. Well, let me see a second. We have to do something else here. I'm going to pull up the resume, click New Share. New Share. Here we go. And then when I click, so I can see the chat box, we'll see if it bumps me out. It didn't this time. Oh, I know why. It doesn't have that enable edit at the front top of it. I think that's when I get booted out. Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your resume. What I'm going to do is scroll down the resume, and everybody who's in the audience, now that you're kind of an expert about resume formatting, feel free to type in comments about what you like, what you see, and if you have any suggestions for continuous improvement, please add those. So you have your name and all these different certifications, it looks like. And a couple of lines and some hot links and a cardiovascular ultrasound clinical application specialist. Wow, what a neat role. That's cool. Okay, professional experience with dates out to the side, right justified. Very clean there. Okay. And these dates aren't aligned. They aren't evenly right justified. That jumps out to me right away. Okay. And additional experience. I might center, this is kind of a header. I think I would center that like the other headers, like professional experience. Okay. Education. French, well, all these credentials spelled out really nicely. Fellow of the American Society of Echo. Wow, that's great. Great experience there. So lots of great skills. And for a medical resume, you probably do want to have more text than I would probably put than in a recruiter. And then somebody asked about lines and borders. For the the version that you're uploading into an applicant tracking system, I would tend to take out these lines because the applicant system could be could hit that and hit a special character and not be able to read the data. So I would take out the lines, and then also the hot links, just click on those and say take away the hot link or whatever, make it just text, because that can send some systems into a tailspin. Okay, limits for the number. Yeah, in the professional summary, typically I say 3 sentences because a recruiter may just read about this much, literally. They may just scan the first line or 2, maybe. Now in the medical field, and Aaron, I know you do some recruiting, you know, in the medical field. Do you think it's okay to have more text for medical field resumes or not?
I think that you cover some of that stuff in the other areas of your resume, like your certifications and your areas of expertise. So I wouldn't be redundant per se, unless it was redundant on the keywords in the job description, where it would help boost your ranking. You know what I mean? I mean, one extra sentence with a couple of different, you know, acronyms, I guess, is not a problem per se. However, I would say that that seemed like I stopped before it got to expert because I thought, oh, this is a lot of words. I can't do this, you know.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I can't.
Only because that's just how my recruiter brain works. But if I was looking for something specific in the resume, obviously I'd you know, have that highlighted because my search tool would have done that. Would have let me know it was already there.
In this, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Bob. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So just to elaborate just a little bit and you already brought this out, Carol, that this is medical, and there are many different aspects because we're dealing with, or I'm dealing with, direct patient care. So
Yep.
there are many different aspects that I need to get across to. First of all, I need to get beyond the recruiter. I need to get beyond HR, and you know, they don't really know specifically everything that I can bring to the organization or to the hospital, the lab, or whatever the case may be. And so I need to spell out, I need to have certain skill sets involved, because it's not a single, and I'm not going to say anything about accounting or anything sales or whatever, but it's so broad in the healthcare environment, especially in cardiology, that I need to show that I've got multiple environments that I can participate in.
Good. And
Okay.
since we
Yeah,
only
that's
have
fair.
literally, yeah, since we only have about 2 minutes left,
Yeah.
What I think I'd recommend is maybe get some feedback, do some informational discussions with, you know, leaders in the healthcare in your industry, and get their feedback about what they would look for. Also look at the job descriptions and make sure that your resume focuses on what they're looking in the job description, because a lot of us want to put everything in our resume because we think it's important to the hiring manager. But I would investigate that a little bit, maybe get some feedback from a hiring official, and then also compare your resume to a job description, because I'm finding people just don't read anymore, even hiring managers, and preparing for an interview. So maybe just get some direct feedback on that. But congratulations on all the wonderful work that you've done. And I mean, this is a tremendous resume.
Yeah, you have an impressive background.
Yes, very impressive. And I apologize, we haven't gotten to the other resumes. If anybody has an urgent question, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You know, the other people that submitted your resumes, just let me know who you are, that you tried to get your resume and you have a quick urgent question, or try again next week. And yeah, we'll make sure to take care of you. And thank you, Bob, for sharing your resume today, and congratulations on all your experience. And Aaron, thank you so much for your input and your perspective. It's so valuable.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate both of you guys for letting me crash your party here.
No, you're not crashing. You're adding value. And somebody asked a question about those pipe signals or symbols. ATS systems can read them because they're a standard thing on the keyboard. However, I find it hard to read the text when there's these symbols and they're all close together. I recommend spacing them out a little more.
Aaron and Carol, thank you all very much. If you want to reach out to Carol, this is her LinkedIn profile. please be sure if you're going to connect with somebody, always on LinkedIn, always send a personal note. Tell her that you met her here at the session, or tell her, give her some kind of comment so she knows why you should be connecting. I don't connect with anybody who doesn't send me a personal note, just a little FYI. All right. For those on Facebook, if you'd like to get the sample T cover letter, the resume, please just send an email to resume@careerdfw.org, and I will get that to you in a couple of days. So please just check that out. That would be great. We're putting on training 5 days a week now. So if you're not familiar with them, let me tell you what's coming up here. I mentioned tomorrow at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group tomorrow morning at 9:30. Our speaker is Jay Frasero, going to talk about effective networking. He is an excellent, excellent speaker. There's not one thing. He's got a book called From the Other Side of the Desk. There isn't one thing. Oh, this looks good when I hold it up right underneath my head here because it's right with the book. How about that? But there's not one page in this book that I disagree with. It is excellent. It'll be a great presentation tomorrow, so please join us tomorrow morning at 9:30. Oops. Next Monday, our Networking Monday phone session will be taking the chill out of cold calls. So, we tell you, you got to network, you have to network, you have to network. That's how you find people. But I'm sure most of you out there have call reluctance. You don't want to pick up the phone and call somebody. And that's what Bob's going to talk about this Monday, taking the chill out of making that cold call, picking up that phone. On Tuesday morning, I have a special event. Find out about Career DFW and CareerUSA.org. It's at 10 a.m. Central Time. It's a special event I'm doing for the Senior Source Career Center. It is open to anybody. It'll be on the Facebook page. It also will be on Zoom, and I will get those links out to you. If you're not getting our daily emails, you can sign up for the Career USA mailing list here at the very end of the session. Tuesday at 1 o'clock, our LinkedIn session will be LinkedIn Search Engine Optimization. On Wednesday, session 13 of 13 for interviewing, avoiding interview crashes, things that we've noticed and we found over the years that will just mess you up. So we'll point those out on Wednesday, and then we're back next Thursday again. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Be sure to click on playlist, and then don't click on the video, but click where you see the red arrow and pick view full playlist under whatever subject you're looking for. And when you do that, up will come a list of from the most recent on top of all the lessons that are out there. And then you can pick and you can rewatch anything that you're interested in. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, as I said before, please join the Career USA mailing list. I'll put this email address up at the very, very end and leave it up for about a minute or so you can capture it. All you have to do is send an email to this email address. All right, we're going to give away 1 month of unlimited use of jobscan.co. What we need everybody to do in the chat box or in the comment field on Facebook, just enter a number between 1 and 100. We're going to pick the 2 closest numbers without going over. So we're playing Price is Right, 2 closest numbers without going over. So put that in the chat box. We'll give everybody a minute to do that. Anybody else? Going once? And let's see here. Our winning number is 88. 88. So let's see here. Our closest winners would be, there's 78. So let's see here. Who's 78? Richard Smith. And maybe 63, I guess. Yep, 63, Enrique. So if the 2 of you all will please put your, in the comment field, please put your email address. That way I can get that captured and you will get an email on April 1 to be able to use it for the entire month of April. All righty here. So just a reminder, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Aaron is a volunteer, Carol's a volunteer, I'm a volunteer. None of us get paid to do what we're doing for Career DFW. We're just volunteering our time to help you land your next great opportunity. Career DFW has no full or part-time employees. Everything I've done over the last 12, 13 years has strictly been as a volunteer. We survive on donations. It pays for Zoom, it pays for the web names, the web hostings, and anything that I cannot get donated. So if you can, please consider making a donation next time you land your next great opportunity so that we can continue to provide the services that we're doing. So thank you very much for joining us today. Aaron, once again, thank you very much. Carol, thank you very much. There's that email address. If you'd like to subscribe, you will get you'll get 6 or 7 emails on a weekly basis. You will not be spammed because only I control the mailing list. So please join us. Otherwise, have a great afternoon.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Aaron, for joining us today. I appreciate it.